ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFI, protection for 120 volt, 15 amp, and 20 amp receptacles in kitchens of non-dwelling units is addressed by Section 210.8 B3 of the 2002 National Electrical Code, or NEC. It's important to understand how different jurisdictions enforce this requirement. Here's a breakdown of various interpretations. Firstly, some jurisdictions enforce the GFI protection requirement for all receptacles fitting the description of 120 volt, 15 amp, and 20 amp in non-dwelling unit kitchens. This means that all such receptacles must have GFI protection. This includes those that supply refrigeration and appliances. Secondly, other jurisdictions enforce the GFI protection requirement for all receptacles except those that feed refrigeration. This means that if a receptacle is specifically dedicated to providing power to a refrigeration appliance, it does not need GFI protection. All other 120 volt, 15 amp, and 20 amp receptacles in the kitchen of a non-dwelling unit must have GFI protection. Thirdly, another interpretation is to require GFI protection only for receptacles that are not dedicated to and behind an appliance. In other words, only general use receptacles need GFI protection. Receptacles that are dedicated to a specific appliance and are located behind that appliance are exempt from the GFI protection requirement. So, if a receptacle is readily accessible and not specifically meant for an appliance located directly in front of it, it would require GFI protection. Fourthly, some jurisdictions have other variations in their enforcement of this code section. For example, some cities may require GFI protection for all 120 volt, 15 amp, and 20 amp receptacles in non-dwelling unit kitchens, including those that supply refrigeration and appliances. Other cities within the same general region may not enforce this requirement at all. It's crucial to consult with the local authority having jurisdiction or urged to determine the specific enforcement practices in that area. The purpose of GFI protection is to protect people from electrical shock. A ground fault occurs when current flows through an unintended path to ground. This can happen if a person comes into contact with a live wire and a grounded object. A GFI monitors the current flowing in the hot and neutral conductors of a circuit. If there is a difference of more than 5 mA between the current flowing in these two conductors, the GFI trips the circuit. This quickly cuts off the power and prevents electrical shock. In kitchens, the risk of ground faults is high because of the presence of water and other conductive materials. That is why the NEC requires GFI protection for receptacles in kitchens. Non-dwelling units include commercial buildings, industrial facilities, and other non-residential locations. These types of kitchens often have different electrical demands and usage patterns than residential kitchens. This can increase the risk of electrical hazards. When installing or modifying electrical circuits in kitchens of non-dwelling units, it is important to follow the NEC requirements and the local enforcement practices. This will ensure the safety of people using the kitchen and prevent electrical accidents. Using a GFI receptacle is one way to provide GFI protection. These receptacles have built-in ground fault sensing and tripping mechanisms. They can be installed in place of standard receptacles. Alternatively, a GFI circuit breaker can be installed in the electrical panel. This type of breaker provides GFI protection for the entire circuit. When selecting a GFI device, it is important to choose one that is rated for the voltage and current of the circuit. It is also important to choose a device that is listed by a recognized testing laboratory such as Underwriters Laboratories or ALL. This ensures that the device has been tested and meets safety standards. Regularly testing GFI devices is important to ensure that they are functioning properly. GFI receptacles and circuit breakers have a test button that can be used to simulate a ground fault. When the test button is pressed, the device should trip and cut off the power. If the device does not trip, it should be replaced. Section 210.8 of the NEC provides detailed requirements for GFI protection in various locations. It is important to consult this section of the code to ensure that all applicable requirements are met. The NEC is updated every 3 years, so it is important to use the latest edition of the code. The authority having jurisdiction, or ODGE, is responsible for enforcing the NEC and other electrical codes. It is important to work with the AHA to ensure that electrical installations comply with all applicable requirements. Understanding the nuances of code enforcement and the local interpretation of the NEC is critical for electrical contractors, engineers, and inspectors. This knowledge ensures safe and compliant electrical installations, protecting people and property from electrical hazards. Remember that the information presented here is a general overview and should not be considered a substitute for professional electrical advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer for specific guidance on electrical installations. The specific requirements for GFI protection can vary depending on the application. For example, different requirements may apply to receptacles in bathrooms, garages, or outdoor locations. It is important to understand the specific requirements for each location to ensure that the electrical installation is safe and compliant. In addition to GFI protection, other electrical safety measures should also be implemented. These measures include proper grounding, overcurrent protection, and the use of arc fault circuit interrupters, or SIs. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip the circuit breaker and prevent electrical shock. Overcurrent protection, such as circuit breakers and fuses, protects electrical circuits from overloads and short circuits. SIs detect arc faults, which are dangerous electrical conditions that can cause fires. By implementing these electrical safety measures, the risk of electrical hazards can be significantly reduced. It is also important to educate people about electrical safety. This includes teaching them how to recognize electrical hazards, how to use electrical equipment safely, and what to do in the event of an electrical emergency. Electrical safety education can help to prevent electrical accidents and save lives. In summary, GFI protection is an important electrical safety measure that is required for receptacles in kitchens of non-dwelling units. The specific requirements for GFI protection can vary depending on the jurisdiction. It is important to consult with the local authority having jurisdiction, or ODGE, to determine the specific enforcement practices in that area. In addition to GFI protection, other electrical safety measures should also be implemented. By following these electrical safety measures, the risk of electrical hazards can be significantly reduced. This explanation provides an overview of GFI protection requirements for receptacles in kitchens of non-dwelling units. Remember to always consult the latest edition of the NEC and local codes for specific requirements and to seek guidance from qualified professionals for electrical installations. This information is intended for educational purposes and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. The correct installation and maintenance of electrical systems are crucial for ensuring safety and preventing accidents. Staying informed about the latest electrical codes and best practices is essential for anyone working with or around electrical equipment. By adhering to these guidelines, you can help create a safer environment for everyone. Understanding the specific nuances of GFI protection in different applications is vital for ensuring electrical safety. From residential to commercial settings, the proper implementation of GFI devices can significantly reduce the risk of electrical shock and other hazards. Always prioritize safety and consult with qualified professionals when dealing with electrical installations. Remember that electrical codes and regulations are constantly evolving, so staying up to date on the latest changes is crucial for maintaining compliance and ensuring the safety of electrical systems. This video serves as a reminder of the importance of GFI protection and the need for ongoing education and awareness in the field of electrical safety. By working together and sharing knowledge, we can create a safer world for everyone. The variations in enforcement highlight the importance of local code knowledge. Always check with your local inspector. And electrical codes are updated frequently, which is why it's important to review the latest publications and stay up to date. The GFI protection requirement aims to protect people from dangerous electrical shock and electrocution. Please remember to always consult with a licensed professional for any electrical installation, especially if you are not properly trained in this area. Remember to always turn off the power before beginning any electrical work. Also, Do not work on electrical equipment when standing in water or when your hands are wet. And do not overload circuits or extension cords. Only use equipment and extension cords that are rated for the amount of electricity you are using. Make sure that all electrical work complies with the local regulations and follow the manufacturer's instructions. Remember to always make electrical safety a priority. Also, electrical work should be done by a qualified person. Proper knowledge of electrical concepts are needed to maintain electrical safety. You can make a difference by staying informed about electrical safety. Remember that if something feels wrong, there may be an electrical problem. The electrical grounding system is also crucial for electrical safety. The system provides a safe path for electricity in the event of a short circuit. It is also important to use the correct wire gauge for all electrical applications. Undersized wires can overheat and cause a fire. Electrical systems must be installed in the correct way, and that can only be done by people with the required knowledge. If electrical systems are not installed correctly, they may not function properly and could result in electrical injuries. Electrical systems must also be maintained in the correct way so that they will continue to function safely. When the electrical system malfunctions, it can create a dangerous electrical condition that must be repaired by a skilled person. The information is provided as a starting point for your consideration. The topic of GFI and the National Electrical Code can require significant professional licensing, training, and education. This information should be considered preliminary to consultation with licensed professionals. When you encounter electrical issues, call a licensed professional. They have the training and knowledge to handle electrical issues safely. Electrical safety requires constant effort from everyone. Please be careful with electricity.